everything appears to be right on track for the SpaceX IPO.
Ed, this story that you wrote along with Bailey Lipschultz, SpaceX said to file confidentially for an IPO ahead of AI rivals. What can you tell us about timing? What did you learn?
Yeah, I mean, the main thing and the important point of us confirming via sources that the paperwork is in is it probably does put SpaceX on track for a June IPO. There has been lots of reporting about will they or won't they, as a starter gun moment for the broader IPO window. But of course, the mechanics of what they're trying to do, raising $50 billion plus maybe $75 billion at the high end at a valuation of 1.75 trillion, it's going to take a very large coalition of bankers and banks to run that book in what will be the biggest IPO in history on a dollar raised or valuation perspective. So we've known this was coming, but it is a big psychological moment for the markets that it's in, and it sets SpaceX up to execute on the groundwork that they've been putting into place for a little while now.
So according to these rumours, SpaceX not so confidentially filing for IPO, right on track for June, as expected, given the fact that this will be far and away the biggest IPO by valuation in history, not even close. You can expect the finance media to have a lot to say in the coming months before, leading up to, and after the SpaceX IPO. It almost feels a little wrong describing this as the SpaceX IPO because, again, just for the record, SpaceX includes XAI and the entire X platform. This is one serious giga company. Over to CNBS, let's see what they have to say.
Joining us, Eva Ados, COO and Chief Investment Strategist of ER Shares, also an early investor in SpaceX through her fund. Eva, good to have you on.
Thank you for having me.
How did we oversell that? How big of a deal is this IPO?
It is one of the biggest deals going. It's going to be the biggest IPO, as you said, the next closest, and certainly in the U.S. history, the next closest one will be Saudi Aramco. We think if there's one company, private or public, in the entire investable universe that we would own, that would be SpaceX. And that's why, as you said, it's our biggest weight in our XOVR ETF. We have very strong conviction in this company.
Damn, son. I don't think I've ever heard somebody as excited about a single company, as adamant if there was one company to own. BRB, doing some quick homework. The host here claiming, I believe, that they were an early investor in SpaceX. Let's find out exactly how early. It's a big difference between 2014, 2018, and 2023. Grok tells me their ETF first invested in SpaceX December 2nd, 2024. Bit of context now, back to the clip.
Company.
Maybe given it's SpaceX, it's bigger than just this investable universe. Maybe it's all the universes. Okay, it's very, listen, it's right. Thank you for laughing at that. It's very cool. Rockets are awesome. Mm-hmm. But what do they do that deserves that kind of valuation?
Yes, it is the moat. It's one of the very few companies globally that actually has a moat. And it has a moat, a very well-diversified moat across many industries, space, AI, telecom. Think about it. When Amazon is launching Amazon Leo, and in order for them to meet the FCC deadline, they need to use SpaceX. When you make your biggest competitor your biggest customer, that is a real moat. We were the first ETF to...
This is a reasonable point. Amazon attempting to compete with Starlink, and in order to launch enough satellites, guess who they need to become a customer of? It's kind of like asking a friend to fuck your wife because you can't get the job done. Kind of awkward, but I mean, what are they going to do? Now, I just really want to make sure we're clear here. SpaceX finds themselves in a situation so far ahead of the rest of the global launch industry in terms of costs and cadence that in order for any company to compete with any other space-based product, for example, Starlink, their only choice is to use SpaceX to launch their competing service. SpaceX's cost to launch is dramatically lower than anyone else, but that's not the only factor. The amount of mass they can launch to orbit per interval of time is also a massive factor. Even if a company was willing to pay one of SpaceX's so-called competitors to launch products, satellites and so on into space for them, willing to pay a massive premium, they just can't launch enough fast enough for it to make sense. Any large-scale project requiring a lot of satellite launches, by necessity, will mean you need to come to SpaceX to do your launches. There sure is a moat.
To democratize private equity. We included private companies in it. And we decided to invest in SpaceX and not OpenAI or Anthropic because in these companies, AI models can be easily replicated. There's not a real moat. The moat is infrastructure. So now with XAI and SpaceX together, you actually have a moat.
Yeah, we're looking at Anthropic and OpenAI, and who knows where this will all go, but I think your point is well taken. and that rocket scientists, actual rocket scientists, are harder to find than software programmers.
Yes.
And is that sort of the idea around this, which is that what SpaceX does, and maybe Blue Origin, Jeff Bezos and Leo, his company, Amazon, that is just takes decades to get good at.
Correct.
If you ever get good at it.
Correct. And we think Elon has put together the best team. That's why they have reusable rockets. They are the most cost-efficient and reliable rocket operator. We believe Elon is the greatest entrepreneur of all time. We think it's a combination of Carnegie and Rockefeller together.
Well, he's going to be a trillionaire, I think, after this. He might be. I'm not joking. He's going to get close because this is going to be, if those numbers are accurate, this will be bigger than Tesla. Do you worry there's too much Elon Musk risk in this, that he's too relevant to all these companies? No. Sort of that key person risk?
I think it's actually to the benefit because now he owns the whole supply chain. Just like Rockefeller, he owns everything linked together. So his competitors are going to be using him in order to put rockets up in the space. So once you get to that point, then you kind of have a monopoly. That's why we think the valuation is justified, because this is not just a tech play, it's an infrastructure play. It has monopolistic characteristics.
You guys do a lot more than just SpaceX. So how much, if at all, does this IPO, SpaceX IPO, does it matter for the overall market?
Yes.
Because if it goes well, I do wonder if there's like an element of investors who've been kind of flittering around the edges that might think, oh, this is cool. Maybe it's time to get in. I don't know.
We see, and that's the reason we democratized access and provide access to retail investors that are being locked out of these opportunities. This is the biggest, we believe, opportunity of the last decade.
Wow.
And this is a unique IP.
Pretty bold statement. Biggest opportunity of the last decade. She's probably right. And I can confirm, for those of you who haven't seen it, post I made back June 2015, more than a decade ago. Hypothetically, if I had $6 or $7 million to spare, here's how I'd allocate it. The vast majority, about 2/3, into SpaceX with a hold period of a mere 30 years minimum. For those of you keeping score at home, at the time of this post, SpaceX a roughly $12 billion valuation. So up about 150 times since. But of course, who cares what it's already done? The question is where to from here with a potential $1.75 trillion IPO valuation. According to Eva, there's plenty left from there.
IPO for three main reasons. First of all, it's the biggest IPO. Secondly, there's going to be 50 to 75, as you said, billion of fundraising on day one. This is a historic number. And third, if there is an S&P 500 fast track inclusion, that's going to have a buying pressure that's going to mitigate the selling pressure that we see after the 6-month lockup. And by the way, that's also going to have buying pressure before the lockup.
Buying pressure.
Buying pressure. Because you have 7 to 10 trillion in mutual funds and ETFs of passive money following the S&P 500 index, and you also have 8 to 11 trillion of corporate mandates following the index. So if that money comes in, and if SpaceX has now a 2% weight in the S&P 500 index, because it's going to be similar valuation of Tesla now, then that 15 to 20 trillion equates to 300 to 400 billion of buying pressure once the company goes public.
It's hard to know what's going to happen, but she does have a good point. Fast tracking for S&P inclusion, a bunch of index and or passive-ish funds required, forced, and mandated to buy a certain allocation of SpaceX based on its valuation, even suggesting hundreds of billions of dollars of forced buying. If you want to do some homework, check out what happened when Tesla was added to the S&P 500. The SpaceX IPO in the following few months could get real interesting real fast. Want more content? Early access? Bunch of perks? Click the links in the pinned comment. AG1 has been part of my daily health protocol for almost half a decade. It's packed full of vitamins and minerals and helps me fill in nutritional gaps while supporting energy, digestion, and immune function. It also has prebiotics and probiotics to promote gut health. I take my health very seriously, and so should you. Try AG1 today by visiting drinkag1.com/SMR or click the link in the pinned comment and enjoy a free welcome kit with vitamin D3 plus K2 and AG1 travel packs. That's drinkag1.com/SMR.